What is going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Hasbro Marvel Legends mini comic wave. So we get 6 figures today that are kind of special where they all come with mini comics. So we have all these little plastic mini comics where these figures appear #1 issue. So that's pretty cool. And a lot of variety of different characters, some old, some new, just a wide range of characters. So first off, we have the Ultimate Iron Man. So we're going to start off with 2 Ultimates here first with Iron Man, and looks pretty cool. Looks really nice. Of course, a different design than what we see for Iron Man usually, but still looks good again with that mini comic of Iron Man #1 there. And I'll go and just spin this one around just so you can see. So we get all 6 of our figures there, and then just a little picture of what the comic's from and a little bit of the story, but of course I'll go into more details. But that looks cool for the Ultimate Iron Man. Then we also have the Ultimate Spider-Man, which is Miles Morales, so it looks pretty cool there. So an updated version of Miles looks pretty awesome, again with his mini comic from that Ultimate Spider-Man there, #1. So that looks really cool. Then from the giant size X-Men, we have Banshee. So absolutely love the giant size X-Men, and of course getting Banshee is really cool as well. Love the design. Of course we got him not too long ago with the X-Men 275 or whatever it was with the more blue costume, but we have more here in his traditional yellow and green costume, so that looks really cool. So awesome to have the regular Banshee now added to the collection. And then behind these 3 we have our remaining 3. So first off we have Adam Warlock, of course from the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, so really cool for that. Of course we just with the MCU and everything went through all the Infinity Gauntlet stuff, so pretty cool to have Adam Warlock. So too bad he wasn't in the Infinity Stone storyline, but we did see him of course in that new Guardians movie, so looks pretty cool for Adam Warlock again with his more design from 1991 as the box is labeled there with the mini comic there for the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. Then for our Dark Avengers, another Dark Avengers character for our collection, we have Daken this time, the son of Wolverine, so he looks really cool, of course here portraying his father as Wolverine in the Dark Avengers, so that's cool. We get the Dark Avengers #1 comic there as well, just really cool for Daken in an official form like that. And then finally we have Rom, the Spaceknight. So again, another one of these one-off characters like we got with Chris Star and everything. So we got Rom, the Spaceknight here. That'll be pretty cool with his comic there back from '79. So looks really cool overall for that character. Just different, and of course nothing I'm too excited about, but the figure itself does look like an awesome figure. So 6 figures here to look at today. Of course, all these weird boxes that are hard to get to fit on the table, and big boxes as well. But I'm pretty excited for most of these characters. So let me go and get these open out of the box, and we'll take a look at them together. So we're going to start off with the Ultimate Iron Man, who is Antonio Stark from Earth 1610. Now, he's the genius son of Howard Stark that carried on the legacy of Stark Industries by becoming a worldwide celebrity and the world's 3rd richest man, but he also was a cynic, alcoholic, and a womanizer. His life drastically changed when he was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor and decided to use the time he had left and his resources to better the world. But he ended up being captured on a business trip to Guatemala and built an exoskeleton-based armor, but made it purposely backfire on his captures, allowing him to escape. He would return years later as a superhero wearing a nanotechnology suit known as Iron Man. So of course he appeared as Iron Man here in the Ultimate Iron Man #1 from March 2005, which will be the mini comic we get with this. And in this we see him wearing his Iron Man tech armor, which gives him superhuman strength and durability, the ability of flight. He also has a repulsor rays, cloaking ability, and force field dishes. So this looks pretty cool. It's not the coolest Iron Man ever, but it's just, nice suit design with the Ultimates. Of course, the Ultimates, a lot of it went to be the inspiration for the MCU we see, so should be a lot of similarities to like we see with the MCU stuff, but overall looks pretty cool. So we get like the Iron Man like face, so we get the gold face plate. Love how it's got like the light blue eyes in there and the light blue like arc reactor sort of stuff, but then the red of us, the nice shiny red all around the head. Of course, a weird shape and stuff, maybe aerodynamic, not exactly sure, but just kind of seems weird with like the points out to the side. And then we get red on the upper chest, so I assume this is probably like, his first suit, so very basic, but red up on the chest with a little bit of gold up on the shoulders. Then we get mostly the dark gray and silver everywhere else, so down the arms, he's got the big clunky arms and boots and stuff, so big robotics here, not going to be easily movable in it, but gets a little bit more red and gold on his forearms, red and gold down on his legs as well, so knees, shins, and red on the toes of the feet there as well. So just overall, like I said, with all like the silver and dark gray and stuff, not really the most interesting design. Now, if this was all the red and gold like Iron Man, it'd probably look a lot cooler, but just for this design, it's just okay. Now, movement-wise, the head will twist all the way around, so you get that, the twist there. And the neck does also have some movements as well. So, like, especially if you do up and down, just the head itself can look down that far and up that far. But then the neck allows more movement, so it allows a little more back and forth. And it will twist as well. Of course, you just got to get a hold of it to get it to twist, but it allows some more movements in there. Then we get the shoulders that will come up to 90 and rotate all the way around. We get a bicep twist and the double elbow joint that bends up that far, which isn't too bad at all. We get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and flex back and forth. Of course, with all the mechanics and stuff around it, hard to get, but there I'll flex back and forth. Then we go to the ab crunch, so just under the chest here, we'll crunch back and forth, just very little, not a whole lot, but mostly twist all the way around. And then it feels like at the waist there's some more crunching as well. Again, doesn't really feel like it's crunching too much, just a little back and forth. And I feel it should twist there as well, but it's doing the thing where it's like fighting, so maybe no twist there, just the upper twist. But the hips will come up to 90 and out to the side that far. We get a thigh twist and the double knee joint that will bend up that far to the back, almost kicking himself in the butt. And then we go down to the foot that'll rock back and forth and twist side to side. And then, of course, the ankle will also twist around there as well. So not bad for the movements, especially for a bigger, clunkier Iron Man, pretty good range and everything. Still not the best overall movement-wise, but not bad at all for what it's got. Now, accessory-wise, we get some additional hands, so we get the set of grip hands. I don't know why. I guess it's because of the comic, so probably all these will come with grip hands to be able to hold their comic, but a set of grip hands there, and of course, a set of the repulsor hands, so probably be good for that. Of course, we don't get any effects for it, though, but we have the holes. We can take them from any of the other old Iron Mans, but we do get that, so they can switch out one of the hands out of the repulsors, and maybe we'll put all the grip hands in so they can hold their comics. So there he's got the repulsor hand, and of course we get the mini comics, so each one will come with their mini comics. So there we have Ultimate Iron Man #1, like I said, from March 2005, and just says Marvel Legends series on the back. So just designed like a little comic, but of course just all plastic, and like I said, with those grip hands we can then take and just slide these into his hand, so they could be holding their comic as well. So we can try and get them posed up, like I said, like in action as well as holding their comics. So that is pretty cool. Now, this is the Ultimate Iron Man. We don't really have any Ultimates except for, Miles. He's from the Ultimates universe as well. But we did get that Ultimate Captain America not too long ago, so we can have that version. So we have a Captain America and Iron Man now together from the Ultimates universe. So that is pretty cool. Nice design for that. And overall, it's cool to get this Iron Man. Like I said, definitely not a look like I'm super excited for or anything. It's just cool to get a version of the Ultimate Iron Man, but definitely could have probably been a better suit design. And next up, we have the Ultimate Miles Morales, again from Earth 1610. Now, he's the son of police officer Jefferson Davis and nurse Rio Morales, living in Brooklyn. After his uncle Aaron Davis broke into Osborn Industries, Miles visited his uncle, where he was bit by an Osform-enhanced spider, giving Miles superhuman-like abilities similar to Spider-Man. And months later, the Spider-Man of his Earth would die, so Miles decided to carry on the legacy of Peter Parker as the new Spider-Man. So, of course, in this form, he's got superhuman strength, speed, durability, agility, and reflexes, the spider sense wall crawling ability, as well as having an electrical generation with his venom blast and the ability to camouflage. So Miles looks cool here. It's nice to get an updated version. Of course, we'll compare it to the old one, which besides like the pinless knees and elbows, I actually think I like probably the old one better, just like the colors and stuff about it. Just overall looks a little better to me, but it's not bad. It's just Miles, like we've seen, of course, if you've seen like it in the Spider-Verse movies and everything, we get Miles there in his mostly all black suit, but red details, especially red spider there on his chest. Love the thicker red lines running around there, and then of course all the webbing and stuff looks good, so that's all running through his body. Then we get red on his fingertips there, and just black everywhere else. Of course, it doesn't seem like the body's built the best because his hips are sticking out so far, so that looks really awkward with that. And then we get his face, which just looks fine. It's hard to really compare it to anything. It just seems like there's some darkness going on around his eyes, like he hasn't slept in days or something, so not the best overall look there. But the face design stuff, isn't horrible. Like I said, there's just some going on with the coloring where he's really dark around the eyes, unfortunately. But for his movements, his head will twist all the way around. He can look down that far and up that far, so he has the hinge disc in there, so allows better movements, so that's nice. We get the shoulders out, come up to 90 with the butterfly, so go back and forth there, so pretty decent. And we'll rotate all the way around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow that, as usual with the pinless, is pretty stiff but can bend up that far, so not too bad at all. We get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and flex back and forth. Then we go to the ab crunch, so we get the upper ab crunch back and forth and twist around. Then we go down to lower crunch, forward and back, so that's nice. Get the double crunches in there. Then we go to the hips, like I said, they're kind of weird, stick out really far, but can come up and go up that far and out to the side there as well. Of course, a little bit of like drop down hip, thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint, that'll bend up that far to the back, kicking himself in the butt, so that's always nice. Shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So not bad overall for the movements, and pretty good range, especially with those newer elbows. Of course, the additional ab crunches and all that, so everything's good. Just those hips look horrible, so don't like that design at all. But he comes with a number of accessories. Of course, we get the masthead for Miles. Always got to have that, so let's switch that out. So there he is with the masthead, which looks good. There's a little bit of paint issues on ours, but overall looks good. Love the more like squinted eyes there that he's got, so looks like he's more ready for battle. Then we get additional hands, so of course we get a wide variety. We get an additional whip hand, so he has one on the left already, so we get an additional hand for the right. We also get a fist hand for the right, so if you want to have that. And then for the left we also get a grip hand, so obviously to hold our comics. So I'll switch that out, probably switch to one of the whip hands and that grip hand. So there's Miles with those hands, and of course we get his mini comic, which is Miles Morales, The Ultimate Spider-Man #1, which was released in May 2014. So that looks really cool. Nice design for that with Miles on the cover, and we'll put this in his hand. So there's Miles with his comic, and knowing what we do about him, he's probably super excited to have his own comic. Now, of course, we have the old Miles Morales. So again, this one's definitely upgraded with all the joints and everything. I just definitely like this one because the hips look a lot better than they do on this one. And actually, it's themed to like the red more. It's a brighter red. Of course, the lines are a lot thicker and stuff where they went much smaller on this. So that doesn't really matter to me too much. I just like the brighter red. But there we can see the difference between the old Marvel Legends Miles Morales and this one. Again, these are like the comic versions, I believe. And then we can also look at the unmasked heads just to see the difference in time as well. So we get the new one here and the old one, which I think overall I like the design of the old one more, just because, you know, to me that looks much more like what I picture Miles Morales looking like. But this one, obviously the face print and everything looks so much better on this newer one. So obviously overall it's a better head, but just something about the older one I like more as well. So it seems overall I like the older Miles Morales just a little bit more, but it's nice to have this one with the upgraded body and everything. And next up we have Banshee, who is Sean Cassidy. Now he was the heir to the castle and estate of Cassidy's Keep in Ireland, as well as a small fortune. He would eventually marry his love Maeve and have a daughter Teresa and start working for Interpol. But while out on a mission, Maeve was killed in a bombing, and Sean's cousin Tom Cassidy would take the child and raise her as his own. After this, Sean would end up leaving Interpol to become involved in criminal activities, leading to a clash with the original X-Men. But this caused him to return to an honest life, eventually being invited by Charles Xavier to join his new X-Men team, along with Colossus, Nightcrawler, Storm, Wolverine, Thunderbird, and Sunfire. So of course, really cool to get the proper version of Banshee. We already got him before, again, from like that X-Men 275 version where they're in the all like training suits or whatever they call them. So like I said, nice to get the proper version of Banshee here in the yellow and green. Looks really cool overall. Of course, it's going to be pretty much that same body and design, just switch the colors now to the all green with the yellow collar there. Of course, the high color, which is pretty nice. We have the older head here where he's got the long sideburns stuff. Absolutely love this head. This is my preferred out of the two, but with his powers, we're going to need to use the other head though. He has like the wings here attached to his body, so just like the last one, we get the striped wings with the yellow and black there, so nice for that. Of course, allows him to fly and glide with his suit design. Yellow boots on, yellow gloves, and green everywhere else. So like I said, looks really cool. Love the design. No, just that same figure, just recolored, but overall looks really nice having the proper version of Banshee. Now he has the ability to generate powerful sonic waves with his voice, like sonic screams, which allow him to fly, create shields, have sonar, and superhuman hearing. And of course, as I mentioned, he's wearing his special X uniform that has the wings built in, allowing him to fly. But for his movements, his head will twist all the way around, a little stiff there, would twist all around. Of course, with that hinge, looks down that far and up that far, so good range with that. Get the shoulders that will come up, of course, so you're all attached to this wing stuff, so limited on how much you can move, but up to 90 there with the butterfly back and forth, and we'll rotate around a little again, attached to that fabric. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that can bend all the way up there, which is nice. The wrist will twist all around and flex back and forth. Then we get the ab crunch, so just the single ab crunch there in his chest, so crunch forward, crunch back, so nice. Twist around at the waist as well, but again, you can only go so far because of the material. Hips will come up towards 90 and out to the side. Get a thigh twist around the double knee joint that will bend up that far to the back, not far from kicking his butt. Get a shin twist all the way around, and the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So good movements. Once again, of course, we've seen this body before. I think it's like the Vulcan body, and then of course he had the same body with the last figure as well. So good range all around with that. Just the only limitations are that fabric attached for his wings. Now, as I mentioned, we do get accessories, so we get the screaming head, which again, always need the screaming head for Banshee. I just, like I said, overall like the look of the other head more, but let's switch that out. So there's Banshee now performing his scream. Then we get extra set of hands as well. Of course, we'll get a grip hand for the left to hold the comic, but we also get a trigger finger for the right. So not exactly sure why we get a trigger finger, but you know, it is what it is. And then of course, we also get more of the claw-like hands that you'd use more for flying and everything. Kind of stinks we only get one of them, but of course, with how I'm doing stuff, I use one to pose up with and one to hold the comic, so I can switch this right hand out and put the grip on the other. So there's Banshee posed up, screaming, ready for flying. And then, of course, we get his mini comic of the giant size X-Men #1 that was released in April 1975, so old comic there. But, of course, nice classic comic cover there. So we get the older X-Men in the background, the original 5, and now the new team of X-Men here in the front. Of course, Banshee's not pictured in that, but he is on the team, so very nice to get that. Of course, we can put this in his other hand, so there we can pose him up with his comic as well. But, of course, now that we have this Banshee, we have a lot of stuff that can go with him. So first, we've got our X-Men 275 Banshee. Again, going to be pretty much exactly the same, just no belt and changed up the colors there, but of course exact same figure, base body, all that sort of stuff. They're going between our two Banshees. We can bring in his family as well. So we have his daughter that wears an outfit very similar to him, and his cousin Black Tom Cassidy, and add him in with all the new X-Men from that giant size X-Men comic. So overall, really cool to get the proper version of Banshee in his normal colors. Of course, when we saw the X-Men 275 version, we knew this version would be coming soon. So again, an easy repaint design for Hasbro there, but really cool to have him. And like I said, happy to have him added to a collection. And next up, we have Adam Warlock, which was created by a group of researchers known as the Enclave with the goal to create the perfect human being. The creature known as him emerged, and since that the creators wanted him for evil, so he lashed out. Due to his lack of life experience, he tried to take Lady Sif as a mate, but was beat near to death by Thor and had to return to a regenerative cocoon. But upon his rebirth, the High Evolutionary named him Warlock and gave him purpose, direction, and the Soul Gem. He was then sent to Counter Earth, where he would become their first superhero and was given the name of Adam by the locals. And eventually we see Adam assist in the Infinity Gauntlet story by gathering Earth's champions to fight against Thanos. And Adam was able to get the gauntlet from Thanos through help by Nebula, and the gems were divided amongst the heroes to prevent their future use. So Adam has superhuman strength, speed, durability, and reflexes, as well as the power of flight, immortality, telepathy, matter manipulation, magic, and a symbiotic bond with the Soul Gem. So he looks really cool, a nice classic design for Adam Warlock. We haven't had too many in our collection, so it's nice to get another Adam, but looks good. He's got like the orange skin, of course, all white out eyes with the dark around it, nice evil mouth there as well, so definitely angry. Nice hair design as well, so nice like old, looks like 70s style hair design or whatever you want to call it, but nice all swept to the back there and stuff. Nice like orange paint over the top as well, you know, make it a little darker color of blonde. Then he has the mostly all black suit, or at least black here, like around his chest and down the front of the legs, but then he's got the red sleeves and boots there that go all the way down, so that's pretty nice. And then he has the red cape on as well, so red cape, nice little skull there in the front with a high color, of course yellow on the inside as well, so you see that yellow there, but just overall nice plastic cape design. So pretty basic overall design for him, but just looks really good. I really like the look of this Adam Warlock. But for movements, his head will twist around. Of course, probably won't twist around too much because of the cape, but you can kind of force it there to twist all the way around. You can look down that far and up that far. It has that hinge disc, so pretty nice with that. It allows you good movement still. Then we get the shoulders that come up to 90 with the butterfly joint, and we'll rotate around. We get the bicep twist and the double elbow joint that goes up that far. We get the wrist that'll twist all the way around and flex. Looks like up and down for this hand, so that's nice for that grip hand. Then we get the ab crunch, so crunch forward, crunch back. It's nice crunching back and forth there, twist around at the waist. The hips will come up towards 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist around. The double knee joint, that's really stiff there, but can bend up that far to the back, kicking himself in the butt. We get the shin twist at the top of the boot, and the foot flex back and forth and twist side to side. So he pretty much has the same movements as that Banshee because it looks like it's the Vulcan body. Again, so really nice for that. Always got really good movements and everything, so that is nice. Now, accessory-wise, he does come with some additional hands, so he's got 2 grip hands on already. We get a set of fist hands, so if we want to have either of those, get that set of fist hands. What's really cool is he comes with the Infinity Gauntlet as well, so of course the shrunk-down version for him, so we can put this on his left hand. So there he can be wearing the Infinity Gauntlet. Of course, that has all 6 of the stones, so that is really nice. So awesome to have that. He also comes with his Karmic Staff, so it's just an extension of his power. So nice staff here with a bird design on the end of a nice wooden staff and everything. Of course, with that grip hands, we can put the staff into his hand there, so we can use that. So again, it's just another device to help with some of his powers and stuff, especially his more magic-based powers. So Adam Warlock looks really cool there overall. But of course, we also get the comics of the mini comic of Infinity Gauntlet #1 that was released in May 1991. So nice classic comic cover there, at least in my world. So very nice for that. And of course, we can put this into his hand as well. Definitely want to leave him with that Infinity Gauntlet, so we'll probably put it in his right hand this time. Of course, that hand seems to hold it a little weird, but there we've got Adam Warlock now with the Infinity Gauntlet and the comics, so that is really cool. Now, as I mentioned, we have had other Adam Warlocks in the past. Of course, they're more modern versions, as in the modern designs, but old figures, so not holding up too well with this. But this is what our more modern design of Adam Warlock looks like. Overall, it's pretty cool. You know, it definitely looks more modern and everything, but I just love the classic look. And of course, with having Adam Warlock in part of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline, we can have him facing off against Thanos. So we have our Thanos here as well with the Infinity Gauntlet, so we can have them facing off against each other. And again, him taking the Infinity Gauntlet from Thanos there. So that just looks really cool having him as well. So awesome to get Adam Warlock added to the collection. Really cool figure, like this nice classic design, like I said, especially being a part of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. But just overall, another cool figure added to the collection. And next up, we're looking at Daken, who is Akihiro. He's the son of Wolverine and his Japanese wife, Itsu, who was born after World War II and inherited his father's mutant abilities. He was raised by a wealthy couple and given the name Daken, which means mongrel in Japanese, but their harsh treatment of him caused him to develop a cold persona. He was eventually taken in by Romulus, who informed Daken that his father, Wolverine, had killed his mother, fueling Daken's quest for vengeance for decades. But after finally meeting Wolverine, Xavier used his powers to show Daken the truth, causing father and son to team up and get revenge on Romulus. But when Norman Osborn became head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and formed his new Avengers team, he approached Daken to play the part of Wolverine, but Daken would end up manipulating his teammates and rig situations to ensure that he always came out on top. So Daken, like his father, has the powers of regeneration, as well as peak human strength, superhuman agility, reflexes, and senses, as well as release pheromones that can affect other people, and has retractable claws. So it's cool to get an updated form of Daken here. I would say I'm not like the happiest with this. Of course, this is him in his father's disguise, so he's wearing the Wolverine brown and yellow outfit, but looks pretty cool overall. It's just like the head looks way too big for the body. It just looks awkward. I feel they needed to either bulk the body up a little or shrink the head down. Just looks pretty awkward. But of course, we get the darker yellow outfit design, so like for the mask there, and of course the Wolverine like fins coming off to the side. Nice angry face. Of course, with like the nose design and color and stuff, looks like he's got a really big nose, so that looks awkward with the way especially his teeth are there all gritted and showing. Then we get like pretty much a Wolverine body. Obviously it's going to be bigger in size and stuff, so that's going to be nice, but it's got the really light brown. I wish it was a little bit darker brown and stuff, but light brown, especially with the light shining on it, doesn't look the best, but it just looks like Wolverine's outfit just in a taller person's inside of it. Then we get the one arm sleeve tattoo going down here, so that's pretty nice with the tattoo designs. Going into the gloves where we do get the Wolverine like claws, but he has the 3 coming out, so 2 on top, 1 from his like an interior wrist whatever there, so it comes out really weird on him. Has the red belt around his waist, brown underwear, yellow spandex come down into the brown boots as well with the high black fins. So again, just looks like a tall version of Wolverine is all this is, but thankfully we do get an unmasked head that we can easily switch out on this. But for movements, his head will twist all the way around and look down that far and up that far. Again, hinge disc is really nice, good range there. Shoulders up to 90 with the butterfly and rotate all the way around. Get the bicep twist and the double elbow. Getting a little stiff there, but can bend all the way up there. So really nice with the wrist that'll twist all the way around and flex back and forth with his hand. Then we get his ab crunch, so crunch forward and crunch back. So decent crunching, twist all the way around at the waist. The hips will come up towards 90 and out to the side. Thigh twist all the way around. The double knee joint, that'll bend up that far to the back, not far from kicking his butt. Surprised there's no shin twist down in there, but it doesn't seem to be moving. And the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So not bad overall, pretty decent movements. You know, it seems pretty familiar. I don't know what body it is, but like I said, does seem pretty familiar overall and works out nice. Like I said, just that big head is the thing that sticks out the most. But as I mentioned, we do get an unmasked head, so we get an unmasked Daken head, so it looks pretty nice. Of course, angry angry face there. Love his mohawk, so all shaved head except for the mohawk there with the longer black hair. So let's switch that out. So there we've got Daken there, which looks pretty nice. Like I said, that head definitely looks much better. So I'll probably just end up leaving that on it. We get some additional hands as well. So we get a one hand with the 2 claws, so you don't have to worry about the third one coming out, as well as a hand with no claws. And it's got the grip hand, so obviously we can hold our comics. So we'll definitely switch that out. And with that, we get our Dark Avengers #1 mini comic that was released in January 2009. So it looks pretty cool with our Dark Avengers Dark Reign there. So we can put this into his hand. Grip hand seems pretty weak on that, so it doesn't hold the comic the best, but looks cool for Daken there. Now we've had Daken from years ago with the really old bodies, and we've customized multiple of them as well. So here's just that old Daken, of course, in the Wolverine-like body as well from the Dark Avengers. So that looks good. Then of course we have this one where he's more dressed in the Fang attire, so it's just that Fang body. Just putting the Daken head, of course we just took this one because we had an extra, so I took that head and put it on, but we could get more of this one and put it on there. And of course we've had like suited bodies and stuff, just done multiple customs over the years with different versions of Daken, but just wanted to show those off, as well as throwing in some family members. So of course we have Wolverine. I tried to get the closest outfit to match with the brown and yellow outfit, as well as X-23. So there we just have more family members of Daken to show off as well. But of course, now that we have Daken, we can throw him in with the rest of our Dark Avengers, because now that pretty much completes our team. So there we have our Dark Avengers team now, of course, with Daken added in with Iron Patriot, Norman Osborn. Then we've got Spider-Man, which was Venom, which was actually Mac Garden. So Scorpion, which is cool. We got Bullseye as Hawkeye. Of course, Sentry. If you saw the new Thunderbolts movie, we know about Sentry. We have Marvel Boy. I think he was maybe known as Protector here. Not exactly sure, but nice to have him. Moonstone as Warbird or Miss Marvel. And of course, Ares there in the back. So of course, some of these figures could use updating and stuff. Even though Marvel Boy's not in the proper attire. So we could use a new one of him. Need a new Bullseye as Hawkeye and stuff. But very cool there to be able to finally build out the proper version of our Dark Avengers. And our final figure today is Rom Spaceknight. Now, Rom was a humanoid male from the planet Galador, a peaceful species renowned for traveling across the universe to share their wisdom and technology advancements with primitive races. But while on a mission, their fleet was ambushed by the dire wraiths and annihilated. The news spread across Galador, and the Prime Director pleaded with young people to undergo surgical procedures that would turn them into armored cyborg warriors to fight against the threat. Rom was the first to volunteer, and he was grafted with paladonium armor connected to his nervous system and equipped with a customized weapon, becoming one of the warriors known as the Space Knights. So he has cybernetic enhancements that give him superhuman strength and durability, as well as self-repair, self-sustenance, and the power of flight. So he looks really cool here. Of course, not really a main like Marvel comic character, but the Rom Space Knight was released a part of the Marvel comics, so looks pretty cool here. Just this all robotic guy in the nice silver design, really tall as well. You'll see that when we have all the figures together. But just looks really cool. He's got the big square boxy head. You can see little eye designs like red lights coming out of it there. Big like computer thing here on his chest. Of course, I don't really know what's all going on, but nice big mechanical stuff here on his chest. Love like this design there on his chest and in the midsection and stuff. That looks cool. Going around to the back, probably things that are allowing him to fly and all that. Looks like a jetpack. Then he has mostly all basic body, so nice smooth body here and all silver. So that looks pretty nice and really clean. And then going into the boots, he's got big boots there on his feet. Love the like cuffs at the top of his legs there, and the boot designs with almost the toe designs. Love his hands as well. It's almost like they're mittens, because you can see like the finger designs, but it's like they're covered over, so they're turned into like mittens and stuff, which is funny. But just overall, a really nice design for a figure and stuff. Just looks really cool. Just something I'm not super connected with, but just as a figure itself, I like the design. But for movements, his head will twist all the way around. Look down that far and up that far, so it must be on like a hinge disc in there as well, or some, but pretty good movements. Then we get the shoulders that will come up to 90 there and rotate all the way around. Of course, a little stiff with the design, real tight on that. But then we get the bicep twist and the double elbows. That'll bend up that far at least, so not too bad. Wrist will twist around and has the hinge up and down for this hand. Then we go to his ab crunch. So it looks like he's got a crunch right under the like chest piece here. So crunch back and forth and we'll twist around. And then has the additional single crunch piece built in there as well. So crunch forward and back just a little because of the jetpack sitting in the back. But nice crunching both with those together. The hips will come up to 90 and out to the side. Get a thigh twist at the top of the boots. So twist all the way down there. Then Then we get the double knee joint that will bend up that far to back, very close to kicking himself in the butt. And the foot will flex back and forth and twist side to side. So very good range overall. Of course, with a bigger robotic body like this, thought it'd be less range, but still really good overall for what he's got. But accessory wise, he does come with some additional hands. So he comes with a grip hand and a fist hand. So fist for the right, a grip for the left. Of course, probably give him that grip one. We'll want to have him hold his comic, of course, but he also comes with some guns we'll give to him. So we need both of those grip hands on him. And as I mentioned, he does come with 2 guns. Now there are different guns that he uses, but I could not tell which one's which, but he uses an energy analyzer and a neutralizer. But again, I don't know which one's which. Just one's bigger, one's smaller, but have very similar designs. So we can put these into his hand. So there's ROM with both of those guns. And then we also get an effect that can go on one. So pretty nice red effect there that'll slide on. So they both have the same design. So we just slide it on either one. Just pick and choose that. So he can be shooting that blast out as well. And then of course we get his mini comic of ROM Spaceknight #1 that was released in September 1979. So nice comic design there of what we get with ROM. And of course we'll put this into his hand. So just one of the guns we'll take out and put this in. So there's ROM with his mini comic as well. So that looks really cool. So overall, like the look of ROM, especially like in the head, I wish he looked a lot cooler, but the rest of the body, I really like. It would be really cool to use this. So you could almost do like an Ultron or something out of it. It looks so cool. Now we don't really have anything to go with ROM because, you know, it's just kind of like a one-off sort of character, but we do have Crystar, which was very similar to ROM, or just, you know, not Marvel superhero sort of characters released by Marvel Comics. So we have Crystar as well. Again, another cool character, not a superhero, but just with the body design and stuff, everything they did for it was really cool. So those two definitely fit well together there. And overall, ROM is just a cool addition. Like I said, besides the head, I really like the figure, just the base body figure design and its overall look. I just wish it had a more humanoid head instead of that square box that it's got. Well, that's going to be it for our Hasbro Marvel Legends mini comic wave, where we got the Ultimate Iron Man and Miles Morales, as well as Banshee, Adam Warlock, Daken, and ROM Spaceknight. So all 6 of these characters are really cool, like having them added to the collection. Like I said, probably the Iron Man and Miles could be ones to skip on, but the other 4 are ones I definitely like adding. Of course, ROM's not necessary, but like I said, just for the body itself, I just really like that design. They did a really good job designing him. Of course, getting Banshee to add to our giant size X-Men, Daken to add to our Dark Avengers, and Adam Warlock just to have in your collection a nice classic comic version of him as well is really cool. So overall, I really like this wave a lot. The mini comics are okay, like I don't really care about them. I just wanted to pose them since that's like the, you know, the main feature of this wave is them being from the comics. So wanted to have them all holding their comics, but obviously I will never use them again and are pretty pointless. But overall, it's a pretty cool way to get some new figures out. So let me know what you thought of this wave down in the comments. And if you enjoyed my review, let me know with that like, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see more. But I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you all stay awesome out there, and I'll see you in our next review.